right, finger pointing marked the end of a once hopeful attempt to redraw New York's election lines. The stakes, they couldn't be any higher with New York losing a congressional seat.
PIX11's Henry Rossoff joining us live from Sunset Park to explain exactly how the state's independent redistricting commission failed and what comes next now. Henry.
So redistricting is one of the uglier, more political parts of our democracy where they remake all of the voting lines. In New York, what we were attempting this year is the Independent Redistricting Committee went all around the state, met with various communities, and tried to find out who wanted to be grouped together and represented by the same people so they could advocate for the same things, like a new road here or a new school there. But then the commission failed to take that information and compromise. Case in point, half the commissioners wanted to group this neighborhood of Sunset Park with Manhattan. The other half wanted to group it with Staten Island.
I did not join this commission to allow my Republican colleagues to hold hostage the hopes of New York's most disadvantaged voters in an effort to regain GOP majorities.
A Zoom meeting devolved into finger-pointing, marking what is likely the end for an ambitious process to redraw New York's political lines in an independent way.
We didn't reach agreement simply because one side turned their backs and walked away without explanation, and that's exactly what happened.
The 10-member New York Independent Redistricting Commission, comprised of 5 Democratic-selected members and 5 Republican-selected members, were supposed to draw one map of Assembly, State Senate, and congressional districts. Instead, they submitted 2, a Democratic plan and a Republican plan. Generally speaking, they agreed on many of the electoral lines in the city, a Democratic stronghold. You can see here the Democratic congressional map proposal is not too different from the Republican one. But committee chairman David Imamura says talks broke down around other more politically competitive parts of the state.
We were able to reach agreement in 80–90% of the state, but we just couldn't make it to the final, make it to the finish line.
Look at Long Island, for example. The Democratic proposal and the Republican proposal differ greatly, especially on how to divide Nassau County among congressional districts. And even in New York City, the commissioners could not agree on the best way to handle the most competitive congressional district, encompassing Staten Island and southern Brooklyn. Democrats wanted to include large portions of Sunset Park. Republicans favored different parts of southern Brooklyn.
I will say that when this process was set up almost a decade ago, many of us at the time objected because we were concerned about the fact that it was a deal back then between Governor Cuomo and the Senate Republicans, and a strange effort to maintain their power. Now both of them are gone from power, and we're left to pick up the pieces.
So what comes next? Generally speaking, the state legislature takes over. We're going to dive into that at 6 o'clock, and the political pressure that Democratic lawmakers in New York will feel to gerrymander or carve the state very much so in their favor, because we're seeing Republican legislatures do it in different states like Ohio and Texas. More at 6 o'clock. Live in Sunset Park, Henry Rossoff, PIX11 News.
It really is a remarkable process, but it's, as you mentioned, a very ugly process with long-lasting implications. Henry Rossoff, thank you so much for that.